Hello everyone, let's do LeetCode hard question 41, first missing positive. The question is asking you how to find the very first missing positive, which by first it means the smallest first missing positive in a given list of integers within the time complexity of O, n, and a constant extra space. So the solution is very straightforward. Intuitively, you can know easily that the answer falls in the range of 1 to the length of this nums plus 1, because this last situation is every single number is just 1 to n to the length of nums. So it only takes 3 steps to clean. Basically, the idea is to use each integer in these nums to both keeps the information of the integer itself, but also use it to store if an index that represents another integer exists. You basically clean the nums, store the info, and retrieve the info. So, but given it depends on how you like which one is more intuitive to you. For example, the number 2, you can map to index 2 directly. You can store the information of integer 2 into index 2, or but this way you need to handle index 0. It's not in our interest. It's already smaller than 1, but it still exists in the nums, so you need to handle it another way, which I feel is more clean. Instead using the integer maps to the index directly, you maps to -1. That way the length stays same. You don't need to modify the nums itself. So you first need to use a number that you know will not exist in your nums after you do the cleaning. And this is the number we're going to use to mark if the corresponding index exists. Or you can use 2, it doesn't matter, but better give it a limit. So the first step is to clean the nums. So maybe this way is cleaner. As long as it's outside our interest range, we reset them to 0. The next step is we started tracking if an integer, like for example, if an integer exists, then we store into the corresponding index. 4 would map to 4 or 3, depends on which methods you are using, and I'm mapping it to -1, which is 3 here. The second step is to store the information. I'll just copy this. We'll do 3 times, so that's 3n to be exact. Because sometimes when they handle database, they actually care not just the big N, they actually care that scaling factor there. So it won't hurt if you state it very clearly. So this is the part that's tricky if you use the methods that doesn't append a new 0 to nums. Is you need to handle where the index is 0, because the next line is so basically if you do not handle this line, then you're going to modify -1, which actually corresponds to the last element in Python, and that's not what you want. you do not want to do anything with 0, so you just want to continue. And the next step is to retrieve the information. Oh, so this is the marking step. Basically each num corresponds to the num minus 1, and you want to do this percent operator because you want to remove the information that is being added to. So if it went through all the numbers and all are larger than m, which means every index has been encountered during this process, then you want to return the this situation, which we already assigned here m, so we can just return m. Where is this? And another solution, which is same idea, but it append a 0 first, and this way you don't need to handle this explicitly because it actually corresponds to the last one, which doesn't matter. And so here it's actually the first method I described, what I described here, that you map this integer to an index directly rather than -1. And this way, when you return it, you also don't need to move it back. Yeah, so that's a two-way. You can either map the integer to an index directly, or you can map to index -1. If you choose to map it directly, it's easier to append a 0 than do it. If you choose to map to index -1, then you need to handle it where you do not want to have a negative index here. That's all.